Welcome to Turning Miniatures Part 6. This time I'm going to do something, again, similar but a little bit different. I said we're going to do it in acrylic. We could have done a small lidded box with a screw-on cap in wood, but I wanted to work in acrylic this time. And the idea is the cap is going to screw on, and I'm going to show you how I do it. Now, it's not that complicated in one sense, but in the other sense it takes a great deal of patience and working slowly and carefully, because acrylic works uniquely and differently. I'm working it clear so that you can see my cuts inside the vessel as I work it. But you could have done this with an acrylic pen blank or any other pieces of colored acrylic. Let me show you my steps. I'm going to take this cylinder, which I've already roughed out, and I'm going to turn the exterior shape. This is the bottom. This part will eventually be the top. Then I'm going to go in with a drill bit and open up the inside as much as I can, just by drilling it out. It may take 2 or 3 different drill bits. And once that's done, I'm going to come in through the opening here and hollow out the inside to a constant wall thickness. And I'm going to do that by seeing through the piece and watching that wall thickness develop as I go. So once I got that done, the next thing then is to come back in with another drill and a tap and cut a 3/8/16 thread in what will be the neck. You notice how thick this still is. Once that's done, I'm going to reduce this diameter. I'm going to glue on a disc. I'm going to close up the bottom, in other words. And the last thing I'm going to do is then part it off. So it's multiple steps. That's my plan. I hope I can follow that plan. I generally can. But I worked through this several times, and I found a way to do that without needing a bunch of extra accessories. In preparation, though, I prepared 2 chucks. One is a female 3/8/16 thread, which I will need for doing the top, because once I cut the threads here, I've got to be able to turn that around and complete the other side of that little tiny lid. And I'll need this 3/8/16 thread. In case, I don't think I'll need this, but this is 3/8/16 also, but this is the male thread. And so I have 2 of these prepared in advance. Part of it I'm going to cut with a tap, and the external threads I'm going to hand chase. And the reason I'm doing 3/8/16, 3/8 whole, is because 3/8/16 is a standard thread, and I have taps for that. I also have hand taps at 16 TPI, so they go together. If I did a different size, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I'll tell you what, let's get onto the lathe, get this piece shaped and hollowed and parted off. I'm at the lathe. I have continued to work on face plates, 1x8, so I have my extensions on here. So this has been shaped down to a cylinder, only because that little chips come flying off of there. In cutting acrylic, make slow, easy cuts. Not too fast. Speed's at 0. I got about 1600, that's probably enough. I'm getting a little bit of chatter, I understand that. I'll take care of that later. So I'm going to shape the exterior. going to stop for a second because you've been hearing some sound, I hope, and that sound is a catch. And that is when the cutting edge is taking off so much acrylic that's actually chipping out a little bit. So you've got to be very careful and very light with your cuts. When I heard those sounds, I have to go back and then clean all that surface back up again. It's not a catch like you get with wood, but I call it a catch with acrylic. Scraping is one way to eliminate that, and I will be doing a lot of that also. Do a little sanding. I want to make this clear so I can see what I'm doing. This is 180. I'm just taking out tool marks right now. And I'm looking down to see if I can see any little lines. I want them all gone. Paper loads up pretty quickly with acrylic. Good enough. 240. This stuff loads, but I can clear it too. This is that Abernet. 400. You can see it's starting to get a little bit clear, but I'm not going to do a lot of clarifying work right at the moment, but I do it this way. 4-inch steel wool. There it is. Clear enough that I can see all the way through. So my next step is going to be to put some holes in it. Take that out. Go to my Jacob's chuck. And let's see how big a hole I can put in there. Well, that's a 1/2 inch. Let's see if that'll work. I'm testing to see. Now that's a little too close to the wall. So I'll go down to the next size, which is a 3/8. I'll go off my tailstock, turn my speed way down to 0, bring it back up, and I'm going to hollow as much as I can. These are called bullet point bits. They tend not to wander too much. And I'm going to work very slowly, and I can see the hole developing inside. It's about 1/8 of an inch, over 1/4. I'm going to stop and clear it a lot because I don't want these chips to build up. Also, heat will build up really easy. When I don't drill out, I'm going to have to turn away. About halfway through the vessel. And about there, I'm going to want to go to a smaller bit, because that outside will be taken into a smaller diameter in just a minute. So new bit. Let's try a 1/4 inch and see what happens. You can eventually open the neck up to 3/8, so a little under that size, and that'll give me a sense of where I'm going to. So there is the bottom of the vessel, or the top of the vessel. Because I'm going to thread it, I want to go past that spot, so I'm going to go farther up into here. So now I'm all the way through the vessel. Done. Get the tailstock out of the way. And I'm picking up my little mini McNaughton hollowing tool, the straight one. And that's what I'm going to use to do most of the hollowing of the interior. Now you know why I want to have that side clear, so I can actually see that cut develop. I'm checking the height. It'll be right at center line. Not too fast. Start right here at the end. Get that wall down to what I think is going to be the size I want. And this will take a little bit of time. Okay, so now I can see the shape of the vessel inside. The outside is much too big around, and that's just fine, because I'm going to take care of that next. I'm going to drill and tap that hole in the top first, and then we're going to take that down some more. Let's see if I can clear that up a little bit. Well, I can't get much more out than that. So let's kind of clean up the inside a little bit so that it's easier to see. Take a piece of my steel wool, just a little piece. See if that'll fit. Okay, now I have to drill and tap. 3/8/16 tap requires a pilot hole 5/16. And I'm going to drill that now all the way into my waist. Not taking off very much. Basically just about a 16th. Little chip removable. Now that needs to be threaded. And so I'll do that. I have a 3/8/16 tap here in a tap wrench. In order to keep that running straight, I'm going to use what's called a tap follower. It's a little spring-loaded piece that allows me to set this absolutely square. Get that in here to the spot I want to drill or tap. I'm going to do this certainly not under power. A little bit, back it off to break the chip. A little bit to break the chip. And I'm threading the inside of that neck. All the way through the vessel. I'm going to take it all the way out because I want to get the chips completely cleared. And we'll go back in again. And we'll back it out again. Just to clear the chips. Now I'm just about to the top of the neck. And it's threading really nice. And that should do it. take this out of here so I don't impale myself. And now what I have to do is clear it one more time just for fun. Okay. So now I'm going to put a base on here. That means I want to get this dead flat. And I'll check that with my square in a minute. Still a lot of mass up here, intentionally. I don't think we'll need to get inside and clear it out anymore. We're done with that. So I want this to run really square here. I'm scraping with my shallow fluted gouge. Very light, because I want a smooth surface. So let's take our square and see how that looks. Yeah, it looks pretty good to me. So now I need to install the base. Now, ahead of time, I prepared this mold disc. One side is smooth and flat. And that'll be the inside. So let me put the live center back in here to hold it in place, and we're going to put that on with some CA glue. Shiny side toward the vessel. Because once the glue is set, I will go in here and turn away the unnecessary material. So I'm just clamping it in place by eye. Now that's close enough. Now a little CA. Give that a second to set, and all the excess on the outside will get turned away. Let's speed it up a bit. This will cloud up the acrylic. Makes it look really bad, but it'll clean up again. Just making sure it dries. You want to use thin CA because you want it to go down into that groove, or into that joint between the two, and wick into there. Seems pretty solid, so I'm going to start turning the mass away. Very carefully here. This is a great place to get a catch. Now, reduce the neck. It's way too thick. And now I'm going to shape the top of the vessel, which has never been touched yet, going on the inside as a guide. Okay, that's close enough. Now, let's clean up this and this. A little sanding here. We're going to take it one more step now. I'm going to use a little bit of this Hut Ultra Gloss plastic polish, which always seems to do a nice job. Just a little dab on a paper towel. A clean area. So we have a vessel. Well, I can't put 3 decorative marks on the bottom. It's not big enough bottom. But I can at least put one on. Let's see if I can even see it. Got one line on there. That's the best we're going to be able to do. So now I need to part the vessel off and go on to making the lid. Well, that's where I use a thin parting tool. Get my hand nice and clean. And I'm going to cut it off Yes, right up there. Overlapping cuts, even with the small one. I'm aiming it in slightly so the outside edge will be the most proud portion. A little cleanup right on the top edge of the neck, but we have a vessel. I've got to do a little cleanup in here, that's easy. Use the edge of my parting tool. Then we'll sand the top of that. By laying this on the lathe. And a few strokes. So we have a vessel. Now we have to make a top for it. So I'm going to cut off this hole and we're going to make the top out of this. Well, we cleaned it up a little bit. And I've started to reduce the diameter of the stock for the lid. It's off camera simply to save us a little bit of time. So I've got this down to a little over 3/16, so I need to bring it down a little bit more. And then cut the threads, shape the top, reverse it, and finish the project. So let's keep going. Speed's still the same place. And I'm using the skew chisel now to bring down this diameter. Very little needs to come off. This is a scraper action. Calipers are set. Let's see where we are. Boy, that's just almost it. Just do a little scraping. Okay, that'll do it. We'll start cutting threads. What I'm going to do is reduce this a little bit more as I cut the threads, and then I will get the size right by testing it against the box we made before. So let's get the speed down. Looks like that's about 300. There's one more thing I want to do. I want to put a little bit of chamfer on the end here so I can start cutting the threads on the chamfer. Then I'll come around to the face. So I said about 300 or so. I sharpened this right before we started this video. Tool rest is nice and smooth. Get the rhythm. That's good. So now the bottom of the thread hasn't been cut right up to this wall, so I'm going to slightly undercut it at the base, so this will go all the way on. This cutter has a portion here for cutting the outside thread and a different portion for cutting the inside thread, except it's just too large for the work we've been doing. So I'm going to come up here with a shallow, thin parting tool, take a little bit off this base. Let's see how that works. Now, the only thing wrong is it's too long. So now that I've got the thread cut, I'm going to shorten it to about half that length. It's nicer to cut long thread, so if I tear up a little bit out here when I'm getting started, I know I'm going to waste it all way later. So right now we're going to cut it off. Increase the speed just a little bit. We don't need more than about that. All right. See how that looks now. That should just about be it. Yeah, that's perfect. So now it's not sticking down into the vessel too far. And now we've got to shape a lid. Now deciding what it's going to look like. I think it'll just be a little dome lid. I'll keep that at hand here. I think the tool for this is just simply to work with a shallow fluted gouge. Let's take the diameter down a little bit here first. And I think it's going to be probably not any longer than that. So let's take some wood away. Yeah, plastic away here. Okay, so I've got it matching the diameter of the neck. We'll put the vessel out of reach so I don't end up messing it up again. And now we're going to finish shaping this. this is what we've got right now. And we're going to finish it off. Let's get rid of this. I'm going to take off the piece of scrap we had and put on a chuck that I made ahead of time. This is another piece of acrylic into which I have already cut the 3/16 thread. And I can screw this in and now finish the exterior. Finish the exterior. And it's screwed into my chuck here all the way down. Now I can work on the exterior. Now I got to be very careful about cutting on this, but we get this little nib off first. We got it. So let's unscrew it and take a look at our whole project. Right back here, let's put that lid in first. Did better on the lid than it did on the body in terms of getting it polished. So there it is, decorated on the bottom, hollowed out on the inside, and I could have polished a little bit more apparently. We threaded at 3/16 16 threads here with a tap. We hand cut the threads on this part, and we used a fixture which we'd already tapped as a chuck for that. So there we are. That's the project. They're fun to do. They are a little tedious, and if you enjoy that delicate work and you can have the patience to work slowly, working with acrylics can be a lot of fun. Well, that's the end of this particular piece. I'm glad you are watching. Again, really appreciate all the comments we're getting from all around the world, and they are really helpful for us to know whether we're providing things that you can want to continue to see. So keep the comments coming. Please subscribe. Let us know how things are going. We'll see you in the next video.